Aspects of my divergent brain development include rerouting engagement of my autonomic nervous system and social engagement capacities. With this, there's divergent development and through in and rerouted wiring of aspects of vocal fluctuations and tone, heart rate regulation and respiration, and neuroceptive activity. Aspects of my divergently developed brain involve rerouted wiring beginning at a young age of my entire brain. The brainstem, the cerebellum, the thalamus, and the cerebral hemispheres. A few particulars that I theorize are involved in my divergent brain development include the connectivity between the brainstem and the cortex, or the cerebrum, and connectivity between the two cerebral hemispheres, the left and right brain hemispheres. Resulting aspects include, I theorize that resulting aspects include chronic dysregulation of cranial nerves, chronic nervous system dysregulation, which includes shifting between traumatic stress response states and fluctuation in heart rate and respiration tendencies, or respiratory rhythm. And chronic brain imbalance regarding communicative connectivity of consciousness between the two cerebral hemispheres. You know, right? I theorize that various other aspects resulting from this divergent brain development include features related with muscular tone, vocal vibrational access, and vocal tonal features, social engagement tendencies. Oh, and with this rerouted wiring of the connectivity of my consciousness through my neurophysiology, there's also a divergent development in the activation, engagement, and accessibility of pain processing systems and memory systems. I theorize that a large aspect of this divergent brain development results in a disconnection between the conscious explicits of unfolding life through experiential sensations of consciousness and the implicit internal sensations while moving through life through experiential sensations. There is a discontinuity within the communicative connections of consciousness between external physicality and internal energy, and with those, the various implicits and explicits of life aspects as sensed through self, or as experienced through a sense of self. Within this division of internal and external aspects, or implicit and explicit aspects, includes the connectivity of consciousness as sensed through thought, causing the physical body and the energetic mind, along with conscious thoughts and unconscious thoughts, to live, exist, and experience life through entirely separate realms of consciousness. Due to this divergent development with rerouted wiring of my entire brain that connects with my body, the result of the personhood that I experience as my sense of self has also divergently developed with dramatic and profound, miraculous and fascinating rerouted wiring, causing multiple persons to exist within one singular body. Being a person involves a variety of neurophysiological aspects, including having an internal sense of self through attachment formation, memory development, and the various associations perceived through these meaning-making connections in these subconscious realms, dramatically connected with, or intimately connected with, attachment formation and the ability to sense safety and connect with others and feel connected with the sense of self, etc. And from that space, connectivity of consciousness relates with various emotional sensations and various physiological responses throughout the entire body from the brain, stemming from the brain engagement and activation and accessibility. And so the aspects of my personhood have divergently developed, where various aspects of social engagement exist within separate realms of personhood, each with their own memory systems, each with their own unique experience of pain and neurophysiological activations of pain processing or pain sensing, each with their own styles of physiological engagement and styles of arousal. And from these dramatic neurophysiological effects within each person inside of my one body, there stems a unique conscious awareness that is experienced from the activations of each person within me. And this is what I call adaptable consciousness condition, where the entirety of my human consciousness has adapted in such a way that all the various potentialities of existence from human neurophysiological applications of consciousness all exist. None were compromised, and yet they exist separately. They operate as their own persons. My own consciousness has evolved in such a capacity that every need of life is met, nothing is compromised, despite the discontinuity within the connections of my consciousness from traumatic stress for 2 decades, beginning in early childhood. Angel, you're so sweet to lick me. Yes, you are. You're so sweet to give my hand little licks and cuddles. We're gonna shift to the outer swing so we can see the sunshine now, huh? What do you think about that? The divergent development of my brain involves rerouted wiring of my neurophysiological applications of consciousness, including aspects of social engagement, pain processing, memory processing, cranial nerve engagement, brainstem and cerebral cortex or cerebrum connectivity of consciousness between my two cerebral hemispheres, and various other aspects within the entirety of my brain formation that connects with my body and affects the mind-body connection as well. The manner in which I experience external physicality and internal aspects of consciousness, and the manner in which I experience my sense of self as an individualized, own, independent person in various realms of social engagement or disengagement, my various aspects of memory processing and accessibility, and the manner in which I experience the bodily senses, which includes activation of various cranial nerves and connectivity of consciousness from the brainstem to the conscious mind in the frontal lobes, perceptual awareness of environmental stimulus and internal sensational stimulus. It's all very, very unique. Each person within me lives with their own experience of a conscious awareness, their own experience of perceptions and perspectives related with meaning-making associations, including selfceptions or perspectives and conceptualization of sense of self in relation to surrounding world, experience and access to various emotional sensations, processing of other aspects of experiential sensations, including internal and external stimulus, memory access and processing, including the various range of explicit and implicit styles of memories and the specificities in which they are processed and able to be recalled. For example, is it an entire memory or a fragment of a memory? Is it an explicit memory or an implicit memory? Is it consciously recallable, or is it only available when unconsciously activated through particulars of internal or external stimuli, etc.? Oh, and then is the ability for memory, recollection, able to have access to a conceptualization of linear time. When the memory is being recalled, is there an ability to perceive it as past memory rather than a presently occurring sensation through the consciousness, through the neurophysiological applications of consciousness? And from all of these subconscious aspects, there's also connectivity of consciousness within the differences of my many inner persons within neurophysiological engagement, activation, or arousal. The physiological responses in the entirety of the brain-body system are different for my various inner persons. The manner in which the brain is connecting within itself is different. The manner in which the cranial nerves are functioning and engaging are different. The styles of nervous system regulation and activation are different. The styles of perceptual awareness and perceptual accessibility, like the ability to access various specifics of perception, where the aspects of internal and external stimuli are being processed in a way that can be experienced and observed and translated into something that can be consciously experienced and observed, rather than there being these fragments of unconscious sensations that don't have an interpretation available. Each of my inner persons, through their unique physiological engagements, also have various experiences, and each of my inner persons, through their unique physiological engagements, also have their own unique styles of hormone and neurotransmitter regulation, activation, and unconscious engagement. The manner in which the hormones and neurotransmitters are released and then experienced are also very different. So there's those two aspects. There's the unconscious activations of them, and then there's that space between the unconscious and the conscious, where the style of the activation is being interpreted into an experience. And so both of those aspects of hormone and neurotransmitter engagement, activation, and regulation are different for each of my inner persons. The engagement of muscle tone and the access to muscular engagement, the styles and specificity with which it can be engaged. Can the muscles be engaged a lot, or are they not engaging at all? And how much can that muscular engagement be consciously shifted? How much decision is there within the muscular tone engagement? Heart rate and respiration also are different and unique for each of my inner persons through their natural experience of physiological engagement of the brain-body system. And so the manner in which breathing naturally occurs is different. The manner in which oxygen is being processed is naturally different. The natural manner in which the heart rate is occurring is different. And the natural experience of heart rate fluctuations or heart rate variability and the styles in which the heart rate may shift from moment to moment are all different for my inner persons. Accessibility to various aspects of social engagement are different for my inner persons, including autonomic flow and cranial nerve functionality. From that space, various aspects of facial features are different, the style in which the facial muscles naturally engage. And again, there's the two options. There's the way that things naturally fluctuate, and then there's also the extent to which conscious decision can impact the natural fluctuations. So the first one is how much are the facial muscles naturally engaging? And then the second one is how much conscious decision can affect that muscular engagement. And both of those are unconscious specifics in relation to physiological engagement, which vary for each of my inner persons. With the regulation of various aspects, there's things like sleeping habits, tendencies, or abilities, things like eating habits, tendencies, or abilities. Some parts will experience a lot more hunger. Some parts will never, ever, ever feel hunger. And eating will be minimal because there's just not the impulse to take care of that kind of a thing in the body. Other parts will feel hunger even after we've eaten, or even after they've eaten. Within these aspects of the various specifics of my inner persons, each with their own style of neurophysiological engagements, nerve impulses, sensations, or ability for communicative connectivity of consciousness through unconscious activations are also different. So the style in which my nerves are communicating with one another and then, up throughout the system. How well are the nerves from my legs communicating with my brain? How well are my nerves within my brain communicating with my brain? So various activations of nerves. And of course, various activations of neurons as various aspects of the brain-body system engage within itself through the unconscious connectivity of consciousness through neurophysiological engagement. And then from this space of so many differences between all the various aspects of connectivity of consciousness, from the conscious awareness to the subconscious realms to the unconscious states, there exist so many different styles of experiencing self and the world. And so sometimes the world is this really big, scary place. And sometimes the world seems small and we all seem connected and anything seems possible and life is a playground. And this affects like everything. Everything. The whole sense of self, the whole sense of experiencing the outside world, all the things. All the things. Along with these perceptual shifts, there are also shifts in the ability to perceive my own being. Sometimes I am an entire physical person and I am a grown adult and I have a whole body that is all mine. Sometimes I can only feel connected to one part of my body at a time. Like I am a foot, or I am a hand, or I am an eyeball. But perceiving my entire being is no longer possible in some states of consciousness. And then recognizing myself also shifts. Sometimes the perceptual awareness of my sense of self in terms of external physicality, for example, looking in a mirror, will feel as if I am seeing a child. My theory is that the subconscious is projecting data from memories into the conscious awareness due to the unique style of connectivity of consciousness occurring beyond all direct and immediate awareness through neurophysiological engagement. And rather than the eyes processing the present moment objectively to the perceptual awareness, there's this piece of data being projected from the memory systems into the perceptual awareness, and the manner in which I am perceiving my own face upon looking in the mirror shifts so that I seem younger than I am today. Sometimes my perception is who I am today, and the experience of those two separate sensations are worlds apart, complete worlds apart. They're so dramatically different, so profoundly unique. Another aspect that's affected through my divergently developed brain and these very unique styles of neurophysiological applications of consciousness is my language access. One of many examples is the manner in which my brain conjugates words. And that will forever fascinate me because I've always been a word nerd. I am an English lover, a word lover to the core of my being. My college degree is in English. I was reading books and browsing the dictionary before I was doing anything else. I would write hundreds of pages and it was no big deal. It was what I did for fun. Words have always been my love, and I took great pride in always having excellent spelling and grammar. And so for my brain to shift the conjugation styles so that they're no longer accurate in terms of official linguistics in the English language in America. It's very, very unique and very specifically something my brain is doing, where the specificities of connectivity of consciousness within my language centers is not coherently connecting or communicating. There's just this little glitch that goes sometimes where I can get the general word, but the style of how that word shifts to fit the sentence shifts to fit the sentence. That didn't even sound like a real word to me. My theory right there is that I'm feeling an emotional sensation, which disconnects me from my language center. So language processing becomes blurred in one way or another. Words don't feel real, or I can't get to words at all, or whatever. Because I'm feeling this emotional sensation of a slight embarrassment, because I always did take such pride in my linguistic abilities, and to feel like that is jeopardized causes me an emotional sensation of embarrassment. But in feeling an emotional sensations, the disconnect of my language centers only increases. Ironically, paradoxically. So I consciously don't care. I understand that my brain does these unique things, but some aspect of my subconscious realms that has a memory and an attachment piece connected with feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment from having these abilities of accurate linguistics, that little portion of consciousness is feeling a sensation, and that activates the right brain hemisphere, which increases the disconnect from the left brain hemisphere, because the connectivity of consciousness between my cerebral hemispheres is not, the words that are coming to mind are tedious and jeopardized, but that's not quite what I am trying to articulate. It's like there's a thin, the connection is it has a thin wire. There's not this expansive pathway. So the pathway that's trying to connect them can easily become, I suppose jeopardized is a fair word. There's a specific word that I was trying to get to, though. It's like a hairline, where it's like a tightrope. Maybe that's what I was trying to get to with tedious. I know it was a T. It's like a tightrope. The connectivity of consciousness between my cerebral hemispheres is like a tightrope, and the slightest misstep, such as an unconscious emotional sensation being activated beyond my direct and immediate awareness or control, can cause that connectivity of consciousness between my cerebral hemispheres to go off kilter and shift the dynamics of accessibility through my neurophysiological applications of consciousness. So, altogether, adaptable consciousness. There we go again. Another aspect of my unfolding life experience processed through my neurophysiological applications of consciousness that is shifted through this divergent development and unique accessibility of brain-body particulars is my experience of a sense of time, including the potentials of a tomorrow existing, the solidification of a past existing, the solidification of the present moment, and solidification of these three separate aspects of conceptualization of time existing in a linear manner, where I exist within that linearity. And so all inner persons experience time differently. In relation to time and thoughts, another aspect of this divergent development results in thoughts occurring faster than usual or slower than usual. My theory is that this is related with brainwave regulation, but that is not yet scientifically confirmed in a solidified manner. My theory is that it's related with brainwave regulation, but what happens is there are times, I suppose it kind of connects with what I was saying earlier about how sometimes the noise in my mind is really loud and sometimes it's quieter. That could, in theory, be connected with brainwave regulation. In theory. Things to be explored in the years to come. I know, some of us can't understand what years to come means, but that's okay. We can just trust that they're there and not think about it if it stresses us out. Within the perceptions of thought and time, there are moments where linear time will unfold and I will experience time faster. Linear time will unfold in seconds, and I've experienced what feels like minutes or even hours, because there's so much going on in my mind, and I'm present with all of the aspects. I didn't used to be able to do that, but now I can. And now I can observe that specificity, where I'll watch a video that I've recorded, and I'll notice as I watch the little time marker that like maybe 2 or 3 seconds have unfolded. But in that time, complete worlds and huge conversations and expansive storytelling and extensive sharing of ideas and processing of various perceptions through unconscious thoughts and a little bit more increased consciousness within thought responses in that time. Things that could never be consciously processed in such a short time frame. And so the perception of time feels inaccurate because I'm experiencing my own self in a much more rapid manner. The connectivity of my consciousness has such a rapid engagement that a few moments passing can feel like a lot of moments passing, many moments passing. And then there are other times where I cannot get to conscious thought and time seems frozen. It doesn't seem to be moving at all. And so time will pass, but it doesn't feel like it's passed because there hasn't been any communicative connectivity of consciousness. There's been no thoughts going on. There's been no conversations in my mind because thought has become inaccessible for some reason. And again, my theory is that this is associated with brainwave regulation and how it's engaging the connectivity of consciousness that already exists. But we'll need to explore that more when we can connect with more neuroscientists. Altogether, adaptable consciousness condition involves divergent development and rerouted wiring of all the various brain regions and their communicative connectivity of consciousness with each other through neural activities or neural pathways, neural engagement, neurons connecting and communicating and collaborating with one another within the brain regions, within the various brain regions, and then from brain region to brain region. And from here, there is the development of multiple persons living inside of one body, each person with all of their own unique, specified, and individualized attributes of being a person, including the 13 aspects of personhood as cited in my pyramid of personhood that I've created. And from these 13 aspects of personhood, through the 3 layers of human consciousness, the infinite elements of personhood have developed completely uniquely and independently of one another. Everything from physiological engagement to memory processing system to moment-by-moment perceptual awareness, and everything in between. And this is ACC, Adaptable Consciousness Condition, discovered and specificities created by Kristin Windsor.